Everybody, it's me, Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 hertz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant-based diet going for yourselves today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and to get with alkalinity. Then you can generate some static electricity, sending me some love telepathically. Set attention to your mind and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So today I'm going to talk about Jesus, Jesus being a yogi, and Jesus, occult sciences, and I'm just going to get into this aspect of him, right? So, let's get into this. So, Jesus, a lot of people call him Yeshua, right? Because this is his name. But he has multiple names because he has multiple different forms of himself, because he's one of these beings, right? Which has been able to come into realize multiple forms of himself. So Jesus, Yeshua, Joshua, right? He is a person, or he was a person who practiced yoga, right? I know that he practiced Kriya Yoga, and I'm sure he practiced other forms of yoga, right? I read this book where it was pretty much illustrating that he went to Kashmir, in India, to pretty much learn Kriya Yoga from some of the masters there. So he was most definitely a Kriya Yoga. He was initiated into becoming a Nath, Goraknati, under Goraksha, which is the Maha Avatar of Shiva, which is a direct reincarnation of Shiva, a Maha Avatar. So he was able to become a Nath, which in Sanskrit Nath means Lord. So he was given the name after being initiated into that promotion. Isha is the name that he was given. Isha Nath. So which is Isha, and then Nath, Nath, and this pretty much means Lord of Lords, right? So this was the name that he was given after being able to come into that status of Nath, right? In the practice of Kriya Yoga. So he was a yogi, and I haven't read the Bible because the Bible is not the Bible, right? But I know some parts of it are saying, maybe some parts are telling of his yoga, right? Like I know that maybe some parts of the Bible are talking about his fasts in the desert, for like 40 days, or something like this. So I want to say this is something that they were doing. Not only Jesus was doing, but maybe many people were doing this as a type of initiation into something, you know. But being able to fast for more than a month, or a month at least, is a sign of being within yoga, right? Because you're not somebody who isn't practicing some type of extensive yoga or intensive yoga is not able to fast for this long. out in the desert, especially to connect themselves with the other realms and whatnot, right? That's all yoga. So the it most definitely touches upon, I want to say, some of his yoga, but he is most definitely a type of priest, maybe, but most definitely a yogi. This one I know for sure. A Nath, Goraknathi, so a type of lordship. He was attained, or he was able to come into a type of lordship with the practice, or in the practice of Kriya Yoga, right? Which also he had to take up Raja Yoga as well, which is pretty much just classical yoga, right? So multiple forms of yoga that he was practicing. Although all the information, I don't have all the information. I just have small events, right, of his reincarnation and whatnot. But he was also most definitely involved in cult practices. He was most heavily involved in the occult. So all this is not talked about intensively because this is more concealed, right? I guess you would want to say. Um, he's most definitely supported by what they were calling devil, you know. So the devil is really just God, right? Um, the devil is not evil. There is no evil in the world. There's just beyond conception, just things are as they are. There's no good and bads. The God created the devil, right? If there is a God, he created the devil. So it's out of the primordiality of God that the devil is created. So the devil itself is primordial force. So Jesus works with the devil, you know. He's supported by the devil, or the Luciferian, right? Lucifer, um, and he works with them. You can let your imagination go wild, right? Because I'm not going to illustrate anything for you, because it's not descriptive enough to be able to illustrate how I would like it. But most definitely, he does work with these beings, or these forces. He works with demons as well, right? This is something that I learned, because this is all occult practice. Everything is of Brahma, or everything is of God. Everything is created from God, and everything returns to God. So everything is the primordial. Everything is the sacred, right? So there's no discriminate. There should not be any type of discrimination in it. There can be, it can arise, but you don't need it to conflict you any deeper, right? So there's a lot that's not known about Jesus, Yeshua. Uh, and you can't really look at him with a certain labeling, right? Or in a certain light. He's most definitely involved in a lot of things that isn't talked about, right? Which makes the whole thing, like, makes being able to connect yourself with him that much more tasteful, because the absolute morality of his characterization as being given is off-putting in a way, you know. So you have to understand that he was involved in a lot of things um, that are seemingly immoral, right? But they're not actually, or maybe they are, you know. But that's life. It's not just the moral. It's it's all things without label, you know. Um, there is no good and bad. If you go out into nature, there you're not gonna find goods and bads. You're gonna find things as they are. You know, are you gonna go and observe like a tiger killing a herd of animal or an animal, and then labeling it good or bad? You won't do that because that's not within their world. The animal world is different from the conceptualized world of conditionings and whatnot, right? So the Bible, the Bible nowadays that you can go buy at the store right now is pretty much it's whitewashed. It's not the actual Bible. It was put together by the universities, right? And a lot of stuff is hidden from it, or a lot of stuff has been taken out from it. Christ is not a specific person or one person. Jesus isn't the only Christ. He's just Christ. Christ is people, right? I don't know, the Jesuit priests, I don't know if they like the message or people to tell that, but that's the truth of it. You know, the truth of it is there's not only one Christ. Christ is a body of people, or multiple peoples, right? Anybody can be Christ, and that's what it is, Christ. Um, so so Jesus is not the only Christ or Christos, right? It's a peoples, but a lot of that is kind of just hidden from the world. I haven't read any books that have allowed me to see any deeper into it. Um, I can only pick up on a little bit of stuff here and there, right? But Jesus is most definitely a yogi. So the Christos, most definitely yogis. Yeshua specifically, as a person, practiced yoga, learned from India. He had multiple names from multiple different forms of himself, right? Like a lot of people, it's like kind of giving yourself multiple nicknames, right? Based on the everywhere that you're going. Let's say you go to like an Aboriginal village, and they invite you in, and you stay with them for like 2 3 years. You become one with their little family they got going, right? And they kind of give you a whole name and whatever, because you're in practice with their lifestyle, or you're in with their lifestyle. So you kind of take up this whole different alias based on where you're experiencing. You're taking up a whole another form of light, right? Based on the environment and everything that's changing. So a lot of yogis are like this, or a lot of mastered or realized beings are like this. They just have multiple things to be doing in name of self mastery, and they pick up multiple different names. You know, multiple different stories are told about them all over the world in their different forms, but it can all come back to one center core, right, which is the Christ. So he most definitely had an occult, or he was in occult practice as well, but occult practice is it's not open for a reason. It's because they have to keep things going on a certain level, right? In order to continue in occult practice, it needs to be a little discreet, right? So a lot of the stories of this aren't going to be talked about, you know. But just know that Christ isn't only a holy being. He's very holy because he's reconciled the opposite within him, which is, the feminine and masculine energy. But there's a lot of unholiness to it as well, right? Because that is the reconciliation taking place. This is not, I'm not attacking or anything like that. I'm just, I'm trying to get more insight into what isn't really added onto or looked into, especially where I'm from. There's just a lot of just fall into love with it, right? Which is the heart, which is Christ, the sacred heart. The sacred heart, the core, come into it, and a lot can be opened up for you from there, right? Cult practices aren't bad. There's nothing wrong with occultism. It's just that it's beyond the world. And anything that is beyond the world is usually seen as your character within the world as wrong, right? So immediately there's you're gonna arise wrongness in something that is beyond the world, right? So they could have been doing all various different types of things to communicating with entities. They could have been maybe like opening or closing various different portalings, um, rituals, but all this is extremely natural because this is something that happens in nature of itself. If you kind of just observe a little bit deeper, right? There's much more to it, obviously, but once again, it's most definitely discreet. A lot of it needs to be discreet because it would invite in conflictions, right? Which would break at the very work of the whole thing. So it just needs to be left alone. But he's most definitely involved in occult practice. Definitely a yogi as well. So nothing wrong with any of this. It's just hasn't been given to the image of him that we've grown up with, because these are all entrances that can lead you beyond the world, right? Which the whole thing, the image that we've been given, is to sustain the world further, right? Instead of going beyond it. But you can go beyond it. This is most definitely the time to be able to do it, which is dying, to be able to die, transcend death, right? Go beyond the physical. This is the whole point of yoga. This is also a cult, and that's Christ being able to come into the heart, which is how to have the experience of God, or coming into unity consciousness. You come into the heart, the core, and you dissolve away into bliss, where you're able to shed the body, right? So Jesus, Yeshua, Isha Nath. He's a Nath. He's a Lord, Lord of Lords. that's what the name he was given, right? So most definitely a yogi, an occult master as well. Uh, most definitely communicated with demons of all types. They're not gonna tell you this, obviously, because of labelings beyond physical forms. But that doesn't make him a bad person. That just makes that just makes a lot of stupidity or a lot of stupid people, right? Um, but even then, it's all good. You just fall into love with it, no matter what. Don't have any condition. Don't have any condition for anything, meaning don't hold a condition to love somebody. Just love somebody unconditionally. Don't bring in conditions, because that's what's constraining you to physical existence. If you want to transcend and die, if you want to have the experience of death, you must not hold the conditions, because the conditions are keeping you to the body, right? So if you want to come transcend that, dissolve the ego, destroy the ego, then be unconditional about it. It's there. Everybody is within unconditionality, but you got to shift the awareness into it. You've conflicted yourself out of it, right? So you've taken on various different forms for various different things in the world, and you've been given karma by other people for other people's benefits, right? So you can literally destroy that, liberate yourself from constraints, shackles, but you got to be unconditional, which also means you got to trust, no matter who it may be, right? Even if there's a threat to your life, learn how to trust, because it may be trying to teach you something beyond your physical existence or your mortality, your morality as well, right? So that's gonna be it for today's video. I do thank everybody for watching. Once again, peace out, one love, and have a great evening.